Hi, friends, and welcome to conversations around our Wellness Wednesday talk. And this is where we explore every part of life and how it impacts our well-being. Because health just isn't about eating right or exercising, it's really about how we manage stress, how we manage our relationships, our finances, sleep, and so much more. So each week I invite a guest expert to share insights that may not seem like they're health related at a glance, but when we look closer, we will definitely see the correlation to our energy, our long-term health, our vitality. And today's guest is Angele Gerten, and she's a financial advisor. And we'll be diving into our financial health and how that ties directly into our physical and emotional health. So before we dive in, I'm going to share a little bit more about Angeli so you know why I'm so excited to have her here today. So Angeli is a financial coach who enjoys taking just a really down-to-earth approach to finances, and I can completely attest to that. She really, truly does. And she understands the importance of planning for future and helping women have that sense of peace and confidence and while enjoying life today. And that is what is so important, right? And helps women build confidence, right, to create a secure and fulfilling future. So when she's not working, she loves to spend time with her family. She and her husband have two amazing boys and two energetic pups. I'm a dog mom too, love my dogs. And together they love camping. I love camping in the Omni personally, but at the beach and exploring new places and staying very active outdoors. So, Angeli, thank you again for joining us. So, let's get started.
That sounds great. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Bonnie.
Awesome. So, I'm going to speak. Most of the women that I serve are 40, 50 plus, probably closer to the 50-ish plus, almost 60. And being a woman in that age range, um, you know what, a lot of women finances are what's keeping us up at night, right? So, you know, for me, and this is what I've heard from other women is, and I'm sure you'll share this too, confirm some of this, is that do I have enough money saved? If your husband is the breadwinner, you're thinking, what if something happens to him? Realistically, our spouses die 5 years earlier than we do, right? So we're thinking, can I make it on my own, if he's gone? So all those scary things. So share with us a little bit about that and how we can gain some peace literally at night and so we can sleep better and live better.
Oh my gosh, that is so important. Absolutely. Thank you. What a great question to get us started. So, one of the things that I think is the most important thing to do when it comes to our money to just give us that financial peace to help alleviate stress, to sleep better at night, is to just have the conversations, right? Pull those things out. What's important to you? What are you worried about? What are we stressed out about? And
Mm.
to really get a plan around it. So, one of those things being, do I have enough saved? How much is enough? Do I have too much? What, really information around what our savings goals are. So I think it's important to sit down and talk through that and put a plan in place. And to your point too about women outliving men, absolutely, that's the case. Women are inheriting money at an incredibly fast rate, whether it's from parents or men. And we don't feel prepared for that. So I think having that plan in place as well. And I talk to clients all the time. It's not fun. It's like taxes, right? We have to do it. Nobody likes it. But if we sit down and we take an hour of our time to say, is my estate planning the way I want it to be? Are my bank accounts joint? Can I have access if something happens to him? If we get those details taken care of now, as it's not enjoyable as it may be to think about or talk through, we will have more peace around these topics. So I think it's being intentional, just like any area of our life. We need to make sure that we're carving out the time. So if there is a topic that is keeping you up at night, use that as a cue to talk to somebody about it and make sure you can bring some form of peace into your life around that. It's so important. And just, to speak to that financial stress, we see that sadly it's the number one cause of divorce, right? Money fights. That financial stress can impact our finance or our health, leading to increased obesity, anxiety, heart failure, and I mean, just all sorts of things the statistics are saying. So, really, we both know how critically important sleep is. So,
Yes.
I mean, at the very basic, if you're literally losing sleep over a topic, which we've all done before, just
Mhm.
seek out some guidance, is what I would say on that.
And I love that. And what I want to kind of what you said is initially you said talk about it.
Mm.
And for me, all of us have a little bit of avoider syndrome in us, and what's uncomfortable or what we don't understand, we avoid. So I think having a conversation with a professional like yourself, and I know that's what shifted, for me, it's like I'm not a financial person. I do tend to avoid those type of conversations, but having someone like, and trust and having them help you navigate through that and talk about things and not having shame around it. I think that's huge. Thinking, as we went in and you're disclosing everything, it's humbling, right? It's like, is she going to judge me? Because like, shouldn't we be further along? But you know what? It is what it is. And if you don't, it's only going to build. And I think, like you said, listen to that voice, right? Women have a gift of intuition. And when you hear that calling you, definitely listen to it and take action. And so, and like it's okay to say this, like, I'm a Christian, right? So, we want to partner with like-minded women as well. So I think, for me, finding you was very important to me in your beliefs. So,
Absolutely. Well, and I love that. I appreciate you bringing that up. Absolutely. I think there is for women, for believers, especially a component of faith that needs to come into our finances and being great stewards. And, I suppose all of our defense, we don't get this in school. We don't have a personal financial class, generally speaking. Most of us don't. I went through business school and didn't get a single finance class as how it relates to personal finances. And my mom likes to say, she just retired after 26 years as a financial advisor, that we pass financial illiteracy generation to generation because what we don't know, we can't teach. So it's okay. But what's not okay is staying there, right? We need to make some movements so that we can be okay, our family can be okay.
yeah, and that's so true because I say the same thing with their physical health. It's like you can stop that generational, that quote, genetics. I say genetics is your parents ate crap, your grandparents ate, and you're passing that along. It's literally the same thing. So, okay, we'll move along here. We could just go on and on. I know I could. I'm sure obviously you can. So, thank you for sharing that. So second thing that I've heard, and you can, how can we plan? Everybody's like, groceries are more expensive. I know, like from a business owner, and you're a business owner, like our costs are going up, shipping costs, like on all my product testing, things like that. I'm like, whoa, so, and then we've got healthcare, if we're investing more in our health, which we should be, how can we manage all that and plan for those rising costs of healthcare and yeah, just be proactive?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think there's a couple components. The first one is, I mean, it's not the most fun word in the finance realm, but that budget, right? Having that cash flow plan and paying attention to what you're spending because it is so easy to spend money and not pay attention. I mean, my goodness, I went out to eat the other day and I am not a soda drinker, but my kids from time to time will get the Sprite, right? The occasional Sprite. Don't judge. So it was $4 for a soda for each of them. And I thought, you know what? That's $8 right there. And little things like that do add up. So if it's the groceries, if it's eating out, I will tell you one of the biggest budget busters is Amazon because they make it so easy, right? There's a convenience factor. We're not calling out anybody on this Zoom at all right now. I mean, it's so easy and we're busy. So, trying to have that discipline in our spending now is going to help us so much in the long run, especially with rising costs. So, really getting intentional about what we're spending, how we're spending, and setting some spending limits. Listen, I'm all about living today, but also saving for tomorrow. And I don't think it can be one or the other, right? We need to have that balance. But then we need to be planning, right? We need to be wise with our money and plan for the future. That's biblical as well. So, how do we do that, especially with the rising healthcare costs and maybe some unforeseen things that may be in our future? I think we could probably plan on emergencies happening, right? We just don't know when or where. So making sure that we're allocating money towards that. I feel like a lot of times what happens is people will say someday when I get that raise, someday when the debt's paid, someday this, someday that. And now here we are really close to some milestone ages where we want to be pulling back from work or supporting our children in different ways, whatever the case may be. So I think that at the end of the day, on a daily basis, making sure that we're controlling our spending and being highly intentional about saving and investing and setting our money aside for the future because we don't know what it holds. So I don't know if that really answered your question specifically,
No.
but it's important to do for sure.
No, it's huge. And honestly, I'm not a big Amazon shopper, but I have caught myself buying things that I didn't need. And when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, or even like paying for the Prime. Like all that is a reason to spend more because it's easier. Wow, I didn't think about that. I know dining out is huge, and whether it's a soda at $2, I'm thinking that's cheap because most of us are buying $6 and $10 coffees,
Very
and
true.
not even thinking about it. And I think what you said about when you get extra income, and I think what is our immediate thought when we have extra income? Do we think save or do we think spend? Nope, we think spend. Okay, I've got extra money. I got a bonus. I have a raise. I had a really good month. And if we could just shift that, and it's not that you shouldn't celebrate and have treat yourself, but what if you at least took that, maybe equal or maybe 60/40 and said, I'm gonna, whatever that percent is, I'm gonna save X amount and then I'll enjoy a little bit of the other. So yes, that was absolutely perfect. And health savings accounts, right, are so important. And explain why that's a good thing. Because, like I said, I kind of understand them, and other people may not, understand what they are. And yeah, just explain.
Absolutely. Yeah, an HSA or a health savings account, those are fabulous accounts that basically you can set money aside pre-tax. And a lot of them, you can then invest that money and it'll grow tax free for future healthcare costs. Now, I say future. First of all, this is something that is generally speaking an employee benefit. So you need to check at work or your spouse's work to see if this is something that you can get. And if you can, I would jump all over it. There's a max you can put aside. And the interesting thing is, if you don't use that money this year, let's say you don't, you can use it for prescriptions, you can use it for different things. But I think the real excitement around it, it's funny what I get excited about these days, is that you can really max it out, leave the money there, and then let it grow tax free for healthcare in retirement. And, what we have been seeing statistically is that last quarter of your life is more expensive from a health standpoint, from a medical standpoint, than the previous 3 quarters combined, which makes sense. Of course, that is where we can lean into your wisdom and how we can be taking care of our bodies now. Now, if a HSA isn't available to you, I am a huge fan of a Roth IRA where we can do something similar. It's not pre-tax money that goes in, but just about anybody can have a Roth IRA. And there are some restrictions, so check those out or talk to an advisor. But you put the money in, it grows tax-free. And now in retirement, we've got this bucket of tax-free money where if we have a big event, we're taking money out, not having to pay taxes on that money, which is incredible. And it's not throwing off our taxable income and our tax brackets as well in retirement. So those are two great options to see if they're available to you. And if so, I would run after those for sure.
Yeah, wow. Had no idea. Okay, definitely checking into that with my husband's company.
Absolutely.
So just give us, and you alluded to some of these, what are a couple of the top, how can I reduce financial stress, like right now, what's one thing that would make me feel maybe like, okay, I'm making a difference, whether that's debt, whether that's saving, spending, what would you say are the top two or three?
Yeah, well, I definitely think the first one is getting a plan in place. So, debt, for example, I'll share just a quick story. We had a young couple in their 30s just swamped with debt. I mean, we had a list of about 16, 17 different line items of debt. Some of it very normal debt, student loans, cars, Home Depot, roof loan, all these different things, but it was just suffocating. And I think what helped them the most was seeing pay this one off first, then pay this one. It'll be paid off this date, then pay this one, pay this off. And what was really neat is once it was all paid off, it was going to take them a few years, of course. If they took that money and put it towards retirement, now they were on track for retirement, which
Wow.
they were not able to even think of retirement because they were so overwhelmed and consumed with their debt. So that did their payments change? No, in that moment, but their stress dropped tremendously because they had a plan. Same thing if you're trying to send a kiddo to college. How much do you need to save? Do you know? Where are you putting it? Let's get a plan in place, reduce that stress, right? And it's not information is power, it's that applied information, right? That applied knowledge is power. So getting that plan in place, are you on track for retirement? What do we need to be doing? So that is really, while I might sound like a broken record, I just am such a big believer in a plan. So even if it's your health or a fitness goal, we're never really going to get there if we don't get a plan in place. And
Right.
a great addition to that plan is a financial coach, financial advisor, just like health. Hey, I want to be healthier. I want to live longer. I want to treat my body better. I need a plan and I need a Bonnie. So helping me with accountability and getting me there. So it's very similar in finances. So that would be where I would absolutely talk to people about getting started by just getting some great information, getting a plan in place, getting someone to come alongside you. And listen, if you ever feel like there's judgment, find somebody else because there should be no judgment in this space. And we do the best we can with the information we have. I'm a big believer in that. So that would be a great first step.
Okay, awesome. That is perfect. And having a plan. Yep, that's the answer to everything. Have a plan and connect with someone that is an expert, right? And that's the thing. We don't try to fix our own air conditioner. We don't go out, most of us don't try to fix our automobile. Why is it? Especially it's same in health. Like we're going to go out and Google. Well, that's not a good idea. You need somebody, with a heart and experience to help them with that. Okay, perfect. And then, is it ever too late, Angela, to start? And, I guess what age would you tell people to start? And I know it's hard when you're young because you think you're invincible. I know I did. And, but is there an age you think, what, it's probably, not really, not worth starting, or what would you say there as far as when is it too late ever?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's ever too late. And even if you feel like, hey, I might be doing well, usually we find there's always little adjustments we can make to improve, right? So, absolutely never too late. So, even if you've done nothing to this point as far as savings, investments, getting out of debt, anything like that, absolutely, it's not ever too late. So, we just want to, obviously, sooner is better than later. So if you've got this information, I encourage you to act. I encourage you to move. So again, it's empowering too to know, hey, I'm doing something and I'm on track to getting some great information and moving towards my goal. So never too late to get started by any means. And there's always strategies out there that can help you.
Right. I think especially if you've had a major shift in life, like jobs, is it like death, divorce, like anything,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you've moved, all those things that can really impact your finances. So, estate planning, and I'm sure the same, you mentioned that earlier. I can't recommend that enough. We had one in place from Indiana. We moved to South Carolina, and literally this week we just redid it in the state. It is now being filed. in our local community. So our kids will not have to think about any of that.
Yeah.
Um, so, okay, this has been phenomenal. Angela, how can we get a hold of you? How can we work with you? And let's talk about what states, because I do cross multiple states. So let's share like who you can work with and what that looks like, your assessment or that initial meeting with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So first of all, I do not charge to meet. So if it's just, getting a budget in place or getting out of debt, I am all about helping people. So happy to do that. I am licensed across the US, so that's not an issue either. So that's super fun. And we'll drop maybe some more contact information, but my website is my name spelled out, angelegerten.com. Great place to go and get connected. Do you want me to rattle off my phone number, or is that what's the easiest there?
Yeah, go ahead and share your phone number, and we'll put everything in the comments and on the post. So, but yeah, just go ahead and share if you'd like.
Thank you. So my cell is 248-872-4681. And an initial consultation could simply be a conversation. I like to say we just need to get to know each other, talk about your goals. And it's not unusual for someone to come and to have never thought about their financial goals before. The statistics again will say that we spend more time planning a wedding or a vacation than our retirements. So, not knowing or thinking about it, that's okay. We want to talk about it. We have people sit down with us, couples all the time, that one wants to plan for college, one doesn't for the kiddos. And it's just that we've never made the time to talk about it. So, initially, it may just be a conversation. It may look like a portfolio review. It may look like a debt analysis, a retirement plan session. So, everyone is a little bit different, but we don't charge. So, if we need to do more than one, we are there for you.
That is wonderful. So, Angela, I can't thank you enough for sharing your experience, your wisdom, and just blessing us with this information today. And I can't recommend Angela enough as far as what she can offer, especially to women, and giving us a sense of peace and comfort and confidence and where we're at financially, so we can live our lives with joy and not have to spend that time in stress and worry. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll, like I said, just look forward to hearing more from you in the future and how you serve women. Okay.
Thank you.